What's up? Hey, today we are talking about the bounce back mentality, or the idea that after having a baby, you need to immediately, magically bounce back to who you used to be. I feel like I've touched on this in previous videos, but there are definitely questions I have been avoiding. I mean, every time I do a Q&A, I get asked, how much weight did you gain during pregnancy? How long did it take to lose the weight? Do you have stretch marks? Tell me all of your insecurities. And I realize at face value, these are probably easy questions to answer, but I think I've been avoiding them, A, because I've been overthinking them, but B, I also don't want to reduce the experience of pregnancy to just how your body is changing physically. And I mean, like, at that, even the changes that are happening that you can see, because there's so much more going on mentally as well as like inside your body as you are healing after having a baby. So I've done some thinking. Today I am going to try to articulately address some of these questions. We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna talk about the bounce back mentality. I hope you find this video helpful, whether you've had a baby, whether you're expecting a baby, or maybe you just want to be a better friend to somebody who has had a baby. Before we get into it, I want to say a huge thank you to Seed Daily Symbiotic for partnering with me on today's video. The Daily Symbiotic is a 2-in-1 prebiotic and probiotic. So much of what I've been consciously sharing since having my baby has been focused on self-care, on creating a routine that keeps me feeling good in my body. And Seed has been part of that routine since before pregnancy, through pregnancy, and now that I have had my baby, I'm breastfeeding because it's easy. It's just 2 capsules first thing in the morning, no refrigeration required. It's got benefits for your entire body. So not just digestion, it also has benefits for cardiovascular health, immune function, skin health, and the list goes on. One benefit I always like to mention to mamas or mamas to be is that it also supports micronutrient synthesis, so helping to ensure you're extracting the maximum nutritional value from your food, which is important when you're not just eating to support your own body. So if you want to check out Seed for yourself, I will put a link in the description box down below. They have increased the offer for our community. You can now save 30% off your first month's supply. So all that info will be down below. Before we get into this question, I'm going to give you a warning. This will be the only warning in this video. We will be talking about weight. We will be talking about weight loss. We will be talking about body image and insecurities. So if the talk about any of these things is triggering for you, if it's something that like you're watching, you're like, I'm probably okay, but you know, after this video, it's gonna make you spiral, like literally just don't watch this video. It's fine. I don't mind. I would rather you set that boundary and you take care of yourself mentally. With that said, how much weight did I gain during pregnancy? I don't know. If you're not familiar with my story, I found out I was pregnant at 6 months. I was very much so not trying to get pregnant. So it's not like there was a period of time where I'm like, I'm trying to have a baby, but I also want to log my transformation physically. So I'm like, weighing myself as my starting point. Like that was, I mean, that would be super weird, but that was very much so not what was happening. I have no idea how much I weighed when I got pregnant. I've been at this fitness thing long enough to know that that number on the scale does not define me. It does not define how strong I am. It does not define how much endurance I have. It also doesn't really correlate oftentimes to how I look in the mirror. Once I found out I was pregnant, it was understandably an overwhelming time. But even if you find out you're pregnant, you know, before 6 months, and I hope you do, there's a lot that goes on throughout pregnancy. Your hormones are going to be changing. Your energy levels may be changing. When your baby goes through growth spurts, you might feel like you could literally sleep all day. So something I realized pretty quickly is I needed to set boundaries around where I was spending my energy. And I don't just mean physically, but also mentally. What was I allowing myself to actually worry about? And there were a lot of things I had to catch up on, a lot of things I had to figure out to prepare for having a baby. So I decided weight just wasn't it for me. When I went to my appointments and they weighed me at the start of the checkup, I'd just look away from the scale, and it's not like they were reading the number out to me. I think they just kind of wrote it in my chart. But I know you can, if your care team is kind of harping on like, hey, you weighed this much today, you can totally request, please don't let me know how much I weigh, just write it in my chart. I'm gonna look away, but you know, let me know if there's something we need to be worried about and what we can do to work on that. That is why they're there. They are your care team. So how long did it take to lose the weight? Well, again, I'm not really sure because it's not like I knew how much weight I gained or I was weighing in every day after having my baby. I mean, can you imagine? But I'll answer this question in 2 parts. I'll show you some pictures, some actual like, stuff in a little bit. But similar to during pregnancy, it became clear to me very quickly after having my baby that I needed to set boundaries around how I was spending my energy. And so I decided that weight, changes in my body, like stretch marks, anything to do with my physical appearance was not something I wanted to be spending my energy on. It's not that I would never worry about the way I looked ever again. It's just like now is not the time or place. When I say I set a boundary around that, I mean I literally built a wall in my mind. I put guards on that wall, so when those thoughts tried to come sneaking in, straight to jail. I don't say this as, oh, I was so confident, I'm so strong, I'm so disciplined, this was so easy for me. No, like setting mental boundaries takes daily work. As for the part 2 of that question, I feel like the part that you guys were really asking about, which is like, how long did it take to go back to normal, like to go back to my pre-pregnancy body? And I feel like I've already made my disclaimers. I'm not gonna apologize for my journey. It's more a reminder for me versus you, but honestly, a few weeks, which is not entirely surprising for me. Even though I found out about my pregnancy late, I took really, really good care of my body throughout pregnancy. I feel like when I found out at 6 months, I was so overwhelmed and I was so scared and I felt like so much was beyond my control, but like the one thing that was in control was how I took care of my body. So if you guys have been following this journey, like, you know, I researched everything. I went through all the steps. I went through all the motions. I did literally every physical thing that you could do to prepare for having a baby. Mentally, was I prepared? No. But physically, I think I did a really good job. And I definitely believe that that made my pregnancy easier, my birth easier, my postpartum recovery easier. Not to mention, if you look at pictures of me from pregnancy, I think I have a video I can put on screen, but I was essentially all belly. Like the nurses told me that every time I went in for my appointment. So like my arms and legs didn't really change much. And so naturally, once I gave birth to the baby, like, yeah, there wasn't that much that looked different about me. Now, I will say it took a little bit longer for my belly to regain tension, we'll call it that. It was very, very squishy in the first few weeks. I actually have a video I took, I forget if it was like 3 weeks or what this was. I'll put it on screen though. And I'd originally taken this as an example of gentle core exercises that you could do postpartum to help support your core healing. I was gonna post it to Instagram, little workout video kind of vibes, but when I saw it back, I was very and I'm like, I'm not gonna post this, which is funny because yeah, obviously my belly was squishy. Like that is what happens after you've had a baby. But I think it's because I had not really been paying attention to my body up until that point. And so then when it's like right in front of me and I'm literally seeing like my belly on screen, on camera, logically, I knew it was to be expected to have a squishy belly. I had no issues with having a squishy belly, but my body image, I feel like was still kind of rooted in pre-pregnancy. You know, I'm used to having a tight and toned little tummy. During pregnancy, I loved my big belly. And now here I am, I'm not carrying a baby, but I also don't look like me pre-pregnancy. And so it just felt very weird. I didn't feel like me. And that's uncomfortable when you have an image of yourself in your mind. And then when you look in the mirror, when you see yourself on camera, you're like, ooh, who is that girl? And I'm not just saying this about the squishy belly. Like the same thing could be true of like, I don't know what happens, but like, let's say all of a sudden I wake up and I'm like freaking jacked. Like I'm like quadzilla, like biceps, like rippling. Like it would be uncomfortable to see that in the mirror as well, because that is a sharp contrast to what I am used to and what I have kind of established in my head as a body image. So to answer the question more directly, I'd say it took a few weeks for my arms, my legs, like everything that wasn't really in my core area. And then I'd say it was a gradual journey of recovery for my core to tighten back up, to like functionally regain tension in my abs. Something I've talked about in previous videos is I did have a 5-finger ab separation. So when you have an ab separation, what that means is like beyond just a gap in your core is not functionally firing as it should be. You're not able to actually create and maintain pressure in your core. And so that can contribute, of course, to things like back pain or pelvic pain or like postural issues, but it can also contribute to the appearance of a mom pooch and a squishier belly because like your muscles just aren't maintaining the tension that they should be. Another thing that happened postpartum was, I don't know what happened between the day that I was pregnant and the day that I had like had my baby, but any amounts of muscle tone or definition or strength in my glutes had just disappeared. It's like when I birthed my baby, I also birthed all of the gains that I had ever had to my bum. So it took a while to get shape and volume back to my butt. I was so flat. Look, I'm not saying I got a donk on me, but like, you know, she's rounder. So the tighter tummy, the rounder glutes, I'd say those probably started to take form closer to 12 weeks because by that point, I'd prioritized recovery. I was able to get back to weightlifting safely and gradually. So just by getting back to weightlifting and some strength training, you know, that adds a little bit of volume to your muscles. It adds a little bit of shape to things. So this question, I feel like is the culmination, the logical route of the conversation after the previous ones. I mean, it goes, how much weight did you gain during pregnancy? How long did it take to lose the weight? How can I lose weight after having a baby? And it's a tricky thing. Like I get why a lot of people avoid this question altogether because I feel like in recent years, like weight loss has almost become like this kind of strangely taboo topic, and it's considered insensitive if you talk about it, if you promote it as a goal. If you want to lose weight, you're somehow a bad person because you don't love yourself or your body, or it's like not body positive. It's just really confusing. People have all these reasons for why you can't talk about weight loss, which I think is a bit silly, because if you don't like the conversation around weight loss, then why don't you work to change it, right? That's my stance. Pregnancy and childbirth add another layer of complexity to this, because there are some women who seemingly have their babies and the weight just falls off them, right? They eat whatever they want, they start breastfeeding, they're not necessarily exercising, everything's just easy breezy, they're considered lucky, right? Whereas there are other women who maybe didn't have the easiest pregnancy, maybe had a complicated childbirth, maybe they had a little bit more recovery from a C-section or something like that. Maybe you started breastfeeding and you thought, oh great, you know, breastfeeding burns all these calories, but all of a sudden you're like starving, you're not sleeping. And so here you are looking at those other women like, what the heck is wrong with me, right? Why is this so much harder for me? Depending how long you've been on my channel, you've been on this fitness journey, you may know that I think probably like 5 years ago, I went through a big weight loss transformation. At that time, when I shared my transformation, I got a lot of blowback from people who had been following my journey, from people who like, I felt like I developed a friendship online with. I got a lot of blowback for doing it, and people saying, you know, this is really discouraging, you're putting out the wrong message, you're promoting the wrong things, this is not healthy, you should just love your body at every stage. And that was really tough for me to hear from people who I thought cared about me, because what they couldn't see and what I tried to explain was, hey, you know, maybe you weren't here for it, but for most of my life, I looked this certain way. I lived in this version of my body, and some things happened that were really tough for me at the time that caused me to gain weight really quickly. Like when I gained weight, I think I gained upwards of 40 pounds in like, not even within a year, like within 6 months. And when I looked in the mirror, when I put on my clothes, like every time that I had an interaction with my body, which is like constantly, because you live in your body, I just felt like this complete disconnect between how I saw myself, how I wanted to feel, and the way that I actually did look and the way that I did feel. So when I lost that weight, I felt so great, because I finally felt like that image that was in my mind, that was based on experience, that was based on how I was before, like I felt like the body I was living in was aligned with what existed in my head. And so I was so happy. It was such a positive transformation for me. But then these people were telling me I was bad and I didn't love myself and this and that. My own experience is why I have so much empathy for anybody who is embarking on a weight loss journey, anybody who maybe doesn't feel completely connected with their body, or who feels like their body's maybe changed in some way that's beyond their control. Like I feel that. But I think it's also important to understand why weight loss is a goal for you. I feel like everything exists on a spectrum, right? You know, you can be like, oh, I'd like to lose some weight, or you could be like, I need to lose this weight immediately. And I feel like so much of what bounce back culture promotes is like, you need to lose that weight immediately. You need to literally bounce back. Like you need to one day be, maybe you've gained 30, 40, 50 pounds in pregnancy. We somehow need to lose that in, I don't know, the span of 6 weeks. I feel like we've touched on mental health a lot today, but it is so important postpartum, because if you are feeling like the extreme version of wanting to lose weight, not just like it would be nice to lose a couple pounds and to gradually work back to feeling at home in my body, but if you feel a desperation to lose that weight, my question to you would be, if it's really about the weight, are you really trying to get back your old body, or are you maybe reaching for your old identity? I might be completely off base saying that, but I know with how I struggled postpartum, I felt like I was grasping at straws for my old identity. I was so scared of who I was becoming because I didn't know her. She was new. I had just taken on this whole new role of teaching a little human being all of the things. And so trying to figure out how that would integrate with the old me, if I'd have to leave behind parts of the old me, if I could take them with me, like it was really, really scary. And of course, your body image, the way that you see your body, plays a role into your perception of your identity. So if you're feeling scared and overwhelmed and like you're grasping at straws already after having a baby, I understand that weight or the way that your body looked might feel like the easiest thing to hold on to. You know, you have pictures, you can visualize it, you can put numbers to it. I'm getting emotional about this. Really think on that though. If you are getting stuck on your weight, if you're getting stuck on these stretch marks, if you're getting stuck on the appearance of your tummy, on loose skin, on scars, on any of these things, why do you feel this desperation for them to disappear? Why do you feel this desperation for things to go more quickly? Is it actually about the appearance of your body? Or is it maybe something a little bit deeper and more connected to your identity? I think the sooner, if that is what's going on for you, the sooner you can make that connection, the sooner you can make that realization and start finding ways to deal with that mental transformation. It's gonna serve you as you continue into this motherhood journey, as you continue taking care of your body and working to feel at home in this new body and in this new identity. So that is it for today's video. I really got my little waterworks going toward the end there. But I do believe in what I said. I don't think weight loss should be this off limits topic. I mean, I'd hate to gaslight you and say like your goals or your concerns or your insecurities are invalid just because it's not like promoting body positivity. If you don't like the conversation around something, change it. I'd love to put together an actually evidence-based video breaking down, you know, how to safely lose weight after having a baby, give you the tools you need. I'd love to do that. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in. But before we go, if you're comfortable, I always love hearing from you guys in the comments. So maybe let me know if you want to share anything about your own postpartum journey, if maybe you struggled more mentally or physically. I know it's a little bit different for everybody. I love hearing from you. I love hearing your stories. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.